Finance Minister Lawrence Wong announces a tapering of the job support scheme as Singapore gears up to open up further. Have you collected yours yet? From today, Temasek Foundation will be giving out free oximeters to every household. And starting this week, NS men can book virtual workouts to fulfill their annual fitness training requirements. Hello, I'm Olivia Quay. You're watching The Big Story live in the Straits Times newsroom. You can subscribe to our channel so you never miss a single episode. We know the next relaxation of COVID-19 measures is expected next Monday, July the 12th, as part of a three-step plan for Singapore's further reopening that could potentially see us transitioning to a new normal. This was addressed in Parliament earlier today. Finance Minister Lawrence Wong said groups of 5 people can be expected to be allowed to dine in together from next Monday. Also, in his first ministerial statement on government spending since being named to the role in May, Mr. Wong said that in line with Singapore's calibrated approach during the heightened alert period, support measures will be more targeted as well. First off, the job support scheme subsidies will be tapered to 10% for 2 weeks from next Monday, July the 12th. These will affect sectors like F&B, gyms, retail, cinemas and the arts, which had to suspend all or most of their operations under the recent heightened alert restrictions. Support, meanwhile, will be extended for SMEs, which accounted for 99% of loans since the start of 2020 through Enterprise Singapore's financing schemes. Mr. Wong said the temporary bridging loan program and the enhanced enterprise financing scheme trade loan will be extended for 6 months from this October to March 31st next year. The parameters for both schemes remain unchanged, including the government risk share of 70%. The Monetary Authority of Singapore will also extend the MAS Singapore dollar facility for Enterprise Singapore loans accordingly.
During times of crisis, we recognize that lower-income households and SMEs face bigger challenges, and that is why we have designed our interventions to benefit them the most. I encourage businesses to make use of this extension and other available schemes to ready themselves for the new normal. Many of our SMEs have already seized the opportunity to build new capabilities and future-proof their businesses.
Well, these support measures for Phase 2 and Phase 3 heightened alert are expected to cost $1.2 billion, which will not be drawn from past reserves. Mr. Wong said the government already expects to draw up to $53.7 billion from past reserves. Instead, he identified 2 sources of reallocation. About half of the $1.2 billion will come from capitalizing the development expenditure of the deep tunnel sewerage system and north-south corridor under Singer. The other half will be reallocated from underutilization of development expenditure, mainly due to construction delays.
Let me be clear, we will not hesitate to use the full measure of our fiscal firepower to protect the lives and livelihoods of Singaporeans. But we also need to be careful about the state of our public finances and ensure they are sustainable for the future. In many countries, COVID-19 has led to massive increases in debt levels, which have not been seen since the end of the Second World War. Not many people are paying attention to how all of this debt will be serviced. They may look affordable now, but will not be so once interest rates increase to more normal levels. The day of reckoning will come, and the burden will surely fall on the young and future generations. We are one of the very few exceptions to this trend of rising public debt around the world. We are very fortunate to be where we are today, thanks to the foresight and the fiscal prudence of our forefathers. We already expect to draw up to $53.7 billion from our past reserves. It's an amount which we are not likely to be able to put back anytime soon, if at all. Our expenditure in FY 2020 was the highest ever in the history of our country, and this unprecedented fiscal response has also led to the largest budget deficit in Singapore's history. Now that things are better, we should refrain from drawing further on past reserves. Instead, we will fund the support measures using resources that were approved in this year's budget. That is the responsible way to manage our finances. So we are not asking for new monies in this bill, but are seeking a reallocation of monies to fund the support package.
Well, Mr. Wong said that for this financial year, Singapore's budget remains expansionary, with the government still expecting an overall deficit of $11 billion or 2.2% of GDP. He said an important part of recovery is the reopening of our borders, something he described as an existential issue for Singapore.
There has been feedback from the business and investment community that Singapore might lose out to other hubs that are moving more aggressively to reopen their borders. We understand these concerns, but we are also very mindful that if we were to reopen prematurely before we reach high enough vaccination levels, we could end up with another wave of infections and worse, a surge in hospitalization and ICU cases. So our priority is to speed up vaccinations, and we have the ability to reach a very high level of vaccination coverage over the next 1 or 2 months. This will enable us to progressively reopen and reconnect with the world. We are already discussing with other jurisdictions that have effectively controlled the infection to work out travel corridors with them for vaccinated persons to travel more freely, either without the need for stay-home notice or with a reduced SHN duration. And while we will not be able to prevent occasional imported infections, a high vaccination rate and our public health defenses will prevent major outbreaks.
A quick update on today's COVID-19 numbers. 6 locally transmitted cases were confirmed today. They included 2 unlinked cases and 4 linked to existing infections. The linked cases had already been quarantined when they tested positive. 5 of the 7 imported cases were detected upon arrival, and the other 2 developed COVID-19 during SHN or isolation. More details will be shared later tonight. Well, also raised in Parliament, the ethnic integration policy was a heavily debated issue, primarily if there's a need to review, adjust or abolish the policy to fit current times. According to the HDB website, the policy is put in place to preserve Singapore's multicultural identity and promote racial integration and harmony. It ensures that there's a balanced mix of various ethnic communities in HDB towns, and the limits are set based on the ethnic makeup of Singapore.
Could the Leader of the Opposition clarify, is he saying today that the EIP should be abolished? Is the answer to that yes or no? That's all I want to know. Or is he saying that it need not be abolished, we can just look to see how we improve it? That's all I wanted to understand.
Well, I'll be happy to clarify the doubts of the Leader of the House. The philosophical position remains. We aim as a society towards race neutrality. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. We respect each other as Singaporeans. The Singapore family is going beyond CMIO categorizations, and that's the target we need to keep in mind. That's where we want to endeavor towards. Now, the government is the government of the day. It wants to retain the EIP for reasons which I would say are not totally illegitimate. I think it's important I state that. We have to, as Minister said, even out the rough edges as much as possible, and at some point, I hope in my generation, within our generation, we reach that place where we are race neutral. Doesn't mean that races don't, sometimes things don't bubble over, but there are more important things that remind us that we're Singaporean and we ought to look beyond our skin color.
And addressing parliamentary questions on how the government intends to address tensions surrounding racial insensitivities and discrimination, Culture, Community and Youth Minister Edwin Tong elaborated on the government's multi-pronged approach.
First, we have an enforcement and legal framework to deal with egregious cases that undermine our racial and religious harmony. Under the Penal Code, it is an offence to commit acts that deliberately wound the racial and religious feelings of any person, that promote enmity between different racial and religious groups, or that are prejudicial to the maintenance of racial and religious harmony. Second, sir, we foster social norms for respectful online behavior and discourse. Recent events have highlighted the polarizing effect of online platforms and social media, and we must guard against potential divisions. Third, we foster open, meaningful, and responsible conversations on race and religion. That is important. These conversations bring Singaporeans together to discuss and find common ground on issues important to us as a people, and in the process, build up mutual trust and respect, and also understanding. Fourth, sir, we are committed to enlarging the common spaces in which all Singaporeans can live, work, and play together, and also share the daily lived experiences that bind us. Singapore's approach to maintaining our common space has created room for every community to enjoy our diverse cultural heritage, without asking any specific segment of community to give up its rich inheritances. These are just some of the government's initiatives in the community and educational domains to strengthen racial and religious harmony in Singapore. Racial harmony in Singapore is a constant work in progress, and our ambition is for the bonds that bind our different communities to grow from strength to strength in the common spaces that we provide.
You can collect your free oximeter from today. The device checks the oxygen level in the blood to detect early signs of a deterioration in health and will help manage the spread of new and more infectious variants of the Covid-19 virus. Multimedia journalist Kimberly Zhao reports on the first day of distribution, and she has a step-by-step guide on how to use the oximeter as well.
Have you made plans to collect your oximeter yet? Today is the first day of the collection drive of oximeters given to every household, which will run till August 5th. We visited collection points in Toa Payoh to find out how collection is going. This morning, select Guardian and Watson's outlets here had set up areas to distribute the devices. We observed a very slow trickle of people coming in to collect them, with roughly 10 collections being made within the hour.
About 10 something I reach here. I come nobody, I just collect it. And then I don't have to wait for so long queue.
不会说排得很长啊，只是2、3个人哦，只是拿一张纸这样啊，他跟我撕一张纸去，然后就给我了，简单啊。
We have a family of 4 members, so actually this is for my family. In fact, our family, 2 of us will be injected, so the other 2 is going to this week. So for everybody's safety.
At other outlets the Straits Times visited, people were turned away for not having their leaflets on hand. A pharmacy at Clementi Mall had to turn away 6 people who did not have their leaflets. Since COVID-19 can cause silent pneumonia without one knowing it, the aim of using these oximeters is to monitor one's blood oxygen levels and making sure they're within a healthy range. We collected an oximeter ourselves. Here's how to use it. Step 1. Put in the provided batteries. Step 2. Put your finger fully inside the probe clip. Step 3. Press the button. Step 4. Wait for the oximeter reading. For us, it took about 30 seconds. My reading is 98. A healthy reading is from 95% to 100%. Anything under 90 is considered low. Those with low blood oxygen levels may need supplemental oxygen and are advised to call a doctor. Families can collect these devices by presenting the leaflets sent to their homes at select FairPrice, Sheng, Giant, Cold Storage, Watsons, Unity and Guardian outlets. The list of available collection spots can be viewed on the official website. Kimberly Zhao for the Straits Times.
Well, thanks for that, Kimberly. In other news today, the death toll in the Philippine military plane crash has risen to 50, comprising 47 military personnel and 3 civilians. The Hercules C-130 transport plane was carrying 96 people, mostly recent Army graduates. The plane overshot the runway while trying to land in Sulu province yesterday and burst into flames in a village. Another 53 people were injured, and it's not clear if the pilots were among the survivors. Back home from next Monday, operationally ready NS men will be able to fulfill their annual fitness training requirements from their homes or workplaces through virtual workouts. This fitness improvement training or fit at home session will have at least 2 fitness trainers checking on up to 45 NS men at any one time. You can get more news and videos, of course, on straitstimes.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well by hitting the red button below. I'm Olivia Quay. Thanks so much for watching and see you tomorrow.